Hello, good afternoon all, and welcome to this channel. Today I want to be talking about supply and demand as market structure. We know we have the proper market structure in which consists of the higher lows and higher highs, but this is different in the essence that I'll be using supply and demand as the backbone which leads to or which generates the structure of the market. And as we all know, supply and demand is the backbone of any market. Without it, there is no structure. And without structure, you'll be trading blind supply and demand or trading supply and demand without structure. But before I do that, I made a video yesterday or some 2 days ago, which got a comment that kind of annoyed me somehow. And Eric Yamu said breaking of the highest high is a break of market structure when the price is in an uptrend at 11:36. Are you mad? This kind of comment is very, very uncalled for, especially when you do not know who is behind these videos. You don't know who you are at least commenting on or talking to. And I presume from the way he has structured his comment, he's a very young guy, probably in his early 20s. And this is somebody whom I can literally give birth to. So just coming online to say, am I mad? Because probably he's disagreeing with something I said or something I made mention of. Or probably he's not even taking his time to carefully listen to what I was saying and fully understand what the context was. Just coming online to say, am I mad? Because I'm trying to help people. This is probably somebody trading off his phone, and I have been trading for like 7 years now, and I'm doing all this thing for free. Then he's telling me, am I mad? And then if I listen to what he's saying now, then I'll see that he's even clearly wrong. Now 11:36, glass of wine, and it breaks. It means it shatters, or it has shifted in form. So for something to break structure, when we say something breaks, as in if you have a glass of wine and it breaks, it means it shatters or it has shifted in form. So for something to break means the form has shifted. And has any form shifted in these patterns? No, the form is just continuing. It's continuing. So as you can hear, I believe because I marked that high as break of structure, I believe that is probably what he's trying to disagree with, that it cannot be a break of structure because the price is in an uptrend. But it doesn't clearly, I don't even know if he listened to what led to this particular description, because I was trying to debunk what people write on Twitter and documents, and I said, if can you listen for me, I said people do say that is break of structure, whereas it is not. It is just continuation of structure. That was bearish, but the structure was still bullish. Then another thing people do is that they call like this break of this side, they call it break of structure. And that is what led to it. People call that side break of structure. And looking at this, you will see the exact reason why I had said that in the last video, talking about break of structures from highs, making higher highs, and we have break of structures on the sides. Clearly, this wasn't break of structure. This is just continuation of structure. And this was why I made that video debunking those stuffs. And here we have higher highs, higher lows, break of structure, break of structure. And that was why I said these are not break of structure. Rather, they are continuation of structure. So when I say or mark it to show you people what people do that is not right, and then somebody is coming to ask me breaking of ISI is a break of structure when price is in an uptrend, are you mad? Well, what's the meaning of that nonsense? If it's clearly better, I won't be on this channel trying to learn one or two from me. Anyways, so back to the topic of today, which is supply and demand as market structure. Now I'm going to use an example of a new token which is to be listed on an exchange. I'm going to use it as an example which will be using for our supply and demand as market structure. Now, when a new token is released and about to be listed on an exchange, two things has probably happened. And the two things that has probably happened is that there has been a private sales. And let's assume that the private sales of that token has happened at 0.1, which means majority of this token has been sold to private investors. And for majority of this token to be sold to private investors means that probably 100 million of this token has been acquired and to be locked for a specific amount or a specific period of time by the investors. Then after that, which the project goes into development, they make an ICO. Let me just mark this as PS, private sales. Then they go into what is called ICO or IPO, initial coin offering. Nowadays, they don't usually do it. We have this exchange. I forgot the name exactly. So they go into ICO, and let's assume that a lot of people then bought up to 500 million as at this point. That is 500 million acquired, which is then in total of 600 million. It is just an example, right? Then what then happens is, by the time the token is to be listed on an exchange, e.g. FTS, Binance, Bybit, this means that the coin is being opened to a lot more buyers and sellers, and most of the tokens will be sent to this exchange to be listed for sales so people can buy in. And people believe once an exchange is listing a new token, that means they have done their research. They believe the exchange must have done their due diligence and that the coin or the token are very good, or they have very good prospects. So people decide to then buy at this point. Any amount they decide to buy or the amount they choose to buy now is not relevant. But how does the market structure comes from the basis or the backbone of the market, which is the supply and demand? We already have like 600 million now on this token, which is distributed in the hands of private sales, as in the private investors, and during ICO. Now, when this coin get listed at a price of 1.2, I don't know if I mentioned this price earlier. So people there choose to start buying into this token, and the price of the token starts rising with time. It's rising like this is time, while like this is increment in price. So they choose to buy and it starts rising. Now, the exchange is not trying to dump the whole lot of tokens they have on people. Rather, they are putting several tokens at different price levels so people can keep buying. And the more the buyers come, the more the price increases. And also, people who have bought from at this point, they may choose to start selling after they have witnessed some price changes in their favor, as in they have made some profits. But then what happens if this price then rallies to like 2.0 and price keeps rising to 2.0, and some investors who have maybe 100 million, and even though the amount is sold in prices may be much more than the amount sold in ICO. So this is just a rough estimate. If somebody who have bought during private sales and price is at $2 now is choosing to then sell as at this point, which is $2, of which at this point they probably have 600%, and close to $2 they probably have up to 1000%. I'm not so sure, but maybe close to. So they are a lot in profit. As during the ICO stage, they're already making 600%, right? Which means as at 1.4, they are making like 1200%. So at 2.0, they are making maybe close to 1500%. So they are a lot in profit already. What if they choose to take profit at this point? and then they unload the whole of 100 million into the market at this point. 100 million in sales. Now, the amount being bought from 1.2 when the coin got listed up to this point may not be up to the upcoming sales of 100 million. Then what happens is you see a price crash. This whole 100 million gets dumped into the market, and then because the incoming amount is not suitable to match, or is not big enough to match the supply of 100 million, it starts setting the price back down, causing what we call an imbalance in supply demand. Then the price keeps crashing. But people will be buying because people wants to buy because they believe it will go very up high. But then what happens if people who bought as ICO notice that there are huge sales coming into the market? And you know, this is how rug pull coins or rug pull tokens happen, when the developers dump all the tokens on buyers. So once ICO people notice that price is crashing, then they too will want to sell part of their own tokens, right? Which means at some point, because of the huge buys coming from retailers at this point, who think, oh, price has dropped a little, they can also buy. Price will rally a bit, which means this amount here has been totally offloaded. Then ICO people will then see that price has given them a little back profit, and they believe for this success to come, there is see much more to the downside that can happen. Then price then crashes again, and what you see most time is price then goes below the exchange listed price. This happens for majority of all tokens being listed. They always go below the exchange listed price. And those who sold at this point, maybe 100 million, maybe 500 million, maybe 1 billion. At this point, when the price is at a very good bargain again, close to ICO price, they then choose to use their profit to buy. Assuming somebody who bought 100 million at private sales with a profit of over 1,600%, 100 million going to 1,600%, that's over $1 million, if not much more. So easily they can remove their 100 million, remove 100% profit on this, and use the rest profit, that is, let's just say 1 million here now, $1 million, to buy back at close to ICO prices. Then what we see is all the remaining supply coming into the market will be overwhelmed, and price will then keep running. They will then be in huge profit again, and they may choose to offload a huge number just to take profit. And when they do, price will then crash back. If they have taken enough profit and they believe that there are enough buyers in the market, or there are enough sales coming into the market to match their new demand, they will then buy again, selling the price back up. And that is why we say smart money or VCs, they always do the opposite of what retailers are doing. At this point, when they offload, people notice the huge drop in price, and we FOMO in and we start selling. If the amount of sales retailers are selling is up after the amount have taken profit, right? This supply zone now is a profit taking supply zone. It's not supply because there should be an imbalance in supply and demand. The supply was created because they are taking profit, same as this point, which was why when price comes back there, it easily goes through. So these are profit taking supply zones, not genuine demand. So they take profit here, and because of the little buys coming to the market, it overwhelms the buys and price goes down. Slippage, right? Then when that happens, we retailers will FOMO in. We might see an engulfing candle or some other patterns, and we start selling. If we are big enough, the amount we are selling, if it's big enough to fill their buy orders, they will then place huge buys and buy back everything. Then price will rally back up, which means they have, like, maybe they sell 50% of the amount they bought here, so they still have 50% in the market, and they are putting that 50% back as at this point, which means the average entry will be like something around there, 50% there, 50% there, and price will go back up, which is, and that is how supply and demand creates the structure of the market. Now look at something like this. If we have something like this, we have price coming up, going down, coming up, going down, coming up, going down, coming up, going down. And what do we call this in the market? We call it consolidation, or sideways, or equilibrium. And why is this so? It's because every attempt of boost to push up price is met with an equivalent amount of peer pressure, pushing back price down. Then the boost try again, bears meet it with an equivalent, and how do I say it? Equal reaction. I've forgotten that physics. So they meet it with an equal amount of sales, then boost try again, but the bears are meeting it tit for tat. And what happens if we have a scale, or how do they call this thing? This thing they used to weigh something, and we have a scale at this point and a scale at this point, and we have 100 kg of boost standing at this point. This should be flat, right? And we have 100 kg of BS standing at this point. What will happen? This ledger will remain equivalently balanced. It will remain balanced, which means it will be at the point of equilibrium. If this 100 kg is just one bull, and this 100 kg is also one bear, if the bulls add another bull to it, making two, it will push this side to the downside, right? And this part will go up, right? Which means the bulls now have more power than the bears. But if the bears had another bull, if the bears had another bear to it, making it 200 kg to match 200 kg, the scale will become balanced again. And let's assume that they added up to 4 bulls, and the bears now added 4 bears as well. Meaning at this point we have 400 kg here, 400 kg here. The scale will still remain balanced, right, at 400 kg each. But what happens if the bulls get tired of these shenanigans, and then they decide to add 600 kg extra, which means 6 more bulls, 1 2 3 4, making it to be 10. And at this point we have 400 plus 600, so at this point we have 1 ton. That is 1000 kg. That is when you see price shooting up. And the moment price shoots up, that means the bulls have taken control of the market. If the bears cannot match the new 1000 kg put into the market by the bulls, if the bears cannot match it, then price should continue to rally, right? But if the bears can match it, meaning they too had up to 10 bears, making it another 1000 kg, then you see the price start coming back down to find equilibrium. Because at that point, when we have, let me draw this again, when we have 10 bulls and 4 bulls, 4 bears, this is how the scale will look like. This will be the bulls pushing up the bears, and on scale it means the bulls are pushing up the price. And if the bears cannot match this, maybe they do not have more men to put on the scale, then price will rally. If they even had from 4, maybe they had 3, making their men 7 and short off 3 more, price may just do something like come back a little, only to then go back up. And that is how the price moves with supply and demand. So if at a point, or if as at this point, when the price is being pushed up by the bulls, to this point the bear realizes that the price is becoming too big. Sorry. Okay, so if at the point the boost added the boost added 10 men and the bears had just 6, then what will happen is if the bears get tired or they were like, wow, okay, these people are trying to show power, then they have 10 here, right? And then these people had 20, which means times 2 of what they have here. Then you see the price turn and come back down. That means the power of the bears has exceeded the powers of the bull. And that is why, in most cases, when you have a demand zone, which means the point at which bulls got tired of the bears shenanigans, when price is changing like this, and price shot up with massive force. And then you have your supply zone. That is the point at which this big effort of the bulls is met by an opposite bet. How did they talk these phrases? Or how did they say these phrases? Opposite bet, equivalent reaction, or something like that. I've forgotten. So the amount of buys coming into this point for this price to halt has to be met with an equivalent amount of effort to make the price stop and go flat. So if 100 million is coming into buys at this point, and another 100 million is being bought at this very point, for this price not to go up, that means there must be 100 million worth of sales. So if this amount of demand is met with an equivalent amount of sales, the price will halt and go into equilibrium, just like this. And then the amount of sales coming to the market at this point, if it exceeds the amount of demand coming in, we start see price moving back down. So if price is rising, it must be met with similar amount of demand for the price to stop in the first instance, and then the supply must exceed the coming demand for it to turn. And this is a protected area by the bulls, right? This was where they got tired of the shenanigans and decided to put all their eggs in one basket, which means they decided to go all in and just push the price up because they are tired of playing cataract. So this area should be a protected area. If the bears now gets too powerful and breaks this region, that means the bears are now in total control. They're in full control. They have completely overpowered the bulls. The bulls don't have any more money to defend this area. And that is when we say a structure has broken. And then the bears are in full control. Then what happens if, okay, now when we talk about something about smart money, manipulation, all those things, we do see structures that are like this. Then what happens if this area should be a protected area by the bulls or by demand, but then it gets sunset only for price to then go back up? Now, like I said here, for price to halt and turn, there must be an equivalent amount of sales, right? And look at it. When sellers were selling here, after profit was taken off here by the private investors or IC investors, we retailers will FOMO into the market thinking the market is going down. If the amounts retailers are selling is enough to match the buy orders of the smart monies, what will they do? They will buy. They will place their buys. So for example, at this point, they have taken profit, price came down, they bought again, it went up, probably they are taking profit again, and they are willing to buy, but they are watching this area to see if the amount being sold into the market at this point is enough to cover their buys. Let's assume at this point, they want to buy 100 million. And they have taken, maybe they have 100 million in the market already. They have taken a profit of 70 million, which means they have 30 million from this point. Then the price is coming down. They are watching this area to buy back the 70 million they have taken the profits of. But at this point, the amount of sales coming into the market is just 40 million. Is that enough to cover the 70 million they want to buy? No. Or even if they want to buy 100 million. Is the 40 million coming in as sales or sales into the market at this point, is it up to cover the amounts they want to buy back? No. So there we keep watching. Then maybe the time this zone breaks, breakout traders will see that a level of support has been taken out. They will start shorting. Some will wait for a quick retest and then short. So when that retest happens and they are shorting, probably that is the point over 70 million worth of sales is coming into the market. And that is when the banks or the smart money will be interested in buying, because the amount in sales at this point now is enough to cover their buys. Then they will buy and price will go back up. So that is how the manipulation sometimes happen. But can we really say it is manipulation, or can we just say it is smart money just waiting for the amount of sales coming into the market to match the amount they are willing to buy? And once they see that the amount coming to the market is enough to cover their buys, they buy. You understand? So that is it about supply and demand as a market structure. And okay, one more thing. So if in essence we have a demand zone like this and we have a supply zone, and price comes from a demand zone, either profit taking or not, to break it, this shows that the pressure from the bulls is stronger than the pressure from the bears. So we expect that once they either take profit at this point, which then becomes a new point of supply, we expect them to buy back at any area between below here and above here, and then price go back up. So that is how demand and supply leads to structure of the market. And so if people now classify something like this and say this point is break of structure, you may understand why. Because a supply was here, strong or not, and supply means was price coming to supply, it should go down. So that alone or on its own is a structure. So once it breaks, they regard it as break of structure. It can happen like that. So that is why I said in the last video that anybody decide to call anything, it doesn't really matter. What matters is you know what you are doing. So once supply breaks, then demand is in control. And once demand breaks, then supply is in control. So that is it about supply and demand as market structure. Thank you.